Hello, everyone, and thanks for joining us on this episode of the Pave It Forward Podcast. My name is Phil Metzger, and with me is Kevin Gray, and we are here to help leaders in the paving industry who are looking to run more efficiently, meet their ideal customer, and improve the lives of those around them through meaningful work. Kevin, how are you, sir?
Doing great, man. Doing really good. If the weather would cooperate a little bit more, I'd be doing a little better. But it's that time of year. It's almost Thanksgiving. The weather's days are getting shorter. The weather's getting definitely cooler, a little gloomier, rainy a lot of the time now. So we're just fighting day to day to manage Mother Nature this time of year and keep our customers happy and keep our guys busy. But other than that, no complaints. It's funny. Usually this time of year, in the past, think about my 16, 17-year history in this industry. Usually this time of the year, I'm worn out, tuckered out, and ready to hang it up for a few months over the winter, at least from a field production standpoint. But man, I'm still eager, still energy's still pretty high, and motivated. And we're chasing a lot of goals, we're chasing a lot of systems and processes, and getting better, and the business is thriving and growing, and we're implementing things. So I'm very encouraged, especially it being this time of year that I'm still as engaged and optimistic and eager to be getting into things as I am. So that's a good sign, man. So
Sure. Yeah, I know this time last year it was crazy warm. Like we were still earning good revenues in November, making sales and laying it down. So I have a feeling this is a bit more of an average year, based on previous years. It has been a while. Last year, obviously being my most recent point, but a few years before that since I've been into it. But is this a more average year? And two, how are your guys doing? Are they also hanging in there as well?
yeah, the guys are hanging in, and I tell you what, if we can get another, I don't know. You try to be optimistic and say, last year we got all the way up to, like, I don't know, December 23rd or something like that. So we, almost all the way up into Christmas. If that's the case,
Mhm.
we've got another 4 or 5 weeks, and we just got several, kind of public storage jobs under contract. I think we've got 4 sites so far. I don't know if any more will come in or not, but that's a little shoot. That's, I don't know, almost $200,000 worth of revenue and work we can go do. We've got several big driveway projects that we're still trying to get done. We've got a 400-ton library in Woodford County still on the books to get done this year. So we could, if we get 4 or 5 weeks, we could potentially get another $500,000 on the ground if Mother Nature cooperates. And as far as I'm concerned, I'm down to get it done. I think the guys are hanging in there pretty well for the most part. It's still not to the point where it's been consistently 5 days a week for the last 40 weeks. So they've had some periods here and there where it's they've caught a 3 or 4 day weekend, and especially now in the last 2 3 weeks with kind of the rain moving in a little bit, we've been doing what we can, and it's been anywhere from 2 to 4 days a week. I think 2 weeks ago we got 5 days in, but so yeah, we're all rested and ready to rip, man. So
Nice.
bring it on. And I know Josh was just in there a few minutes ago, and he's working on a few kind of end of the year deals that may come to fruition too. So as long as the plants stay open and it's decent temperatures for us to go out and perform a good, install a good project for our consumer, then we're going to let it fly. So we're,
Yeah, I've noticed that you haven't taken your foot off the gas pedal in the sense that you have now moved into a new office location. You have bought two new trucks,
yeah,
and you are getting gas tanks put on site. In the last episode, we reviewed the decision to purchase the trucks and reviewed a little bit about the office. But the tanks are new since we've talked to everyone. And so I was just wondering if you could kind of talk about the mentality of going ahead and making these investments, and what it will do for you this year, and the benefits, in years into the future as well.
yeah, and certainly with adding the the new dump trucks to the fleet in our daily operation. I mean, that was really a big selling point for going ahead and getting on-site fuel shipped to us. We got 500 gallons of off-road, 500 gallons of on-road diesel fuels. We've got a DEF tank, so it's really just there are places around town where it's easy enough to get those trucks into a filling station and get them filled up, but um, it just gets kind of tedious. There is a considerable savings also, buying fuel in bulk like that. We're usually, I don't know, knocking 50 cents or so per gallon off
Wow.
the fuel. So that's a savings. And
Whew.
last couple of years, we've just been kind of running bulk tanks on our pickup trucks. We have a 50, 100 gallon tank that we kind of haul around with us to fill up the machinery and skid steer, paver, things like that. Trucks when needed, most of the pickup trucks were just kind of going to the gas stations in the morning. So, it eliminates those gas station stops in the morning. It puts our fuel right here in our hands, so we can get it loaded into the vehicles and the trucks efficiently, and we're saving 15, 20 cents probably on the gallon by buying it in bulk. So really a no-brainer now that we've got a formal place to call home and somewhere we can operate out of all together. So, it's funny, just all these. I look back 2.5 years ago, we didn't have shit. We had a 250 pickup truck, a gooseneck trailer, a used paver that was fine. It was a good used paver, but just really kind of limping around town to get to these job sites. And now, and back then, I couldn't paint the picture of how we would get to where we're at today. Like, I couldn't see that far in the future. Like, I knew the things to do. I knew how to run the play and the things, that there was a process to getting to where we're at today. And by the way, we're not anywhere near where we're going. Like, we're just 2.5 years into the process. And just to look back at some of the stress and the financial fear and the worry and the anxiety of doing this all over again and figuring it out and having to start from scratch and, like, doing things that I thought were 15, 16, 17 years behind me that I'd never have to do again or endure or go through. Now that some of those things are in the rear view to some extent, it's pretty rewarding to look back and see how much we actually have accomplished in just essentially a 2-year period. So I'm very grateful. I'm very humbled, by the staff we've had and the things we've been able to accomplish in just such a short period of time, and really optimistic about the future. Not that there's still not worry and anxiety and fear and all the things that come with being an entrepreneur and a business owner and an operator, but it just kind of being able to sit here today and look around our new office and our new space, our new shop, and the trucks are here and the fuel tanks are, like, doing all the things that really start making this thing look and feel real. It's just reassuring that if you can just show up and do things one day at a time, try and do the right things every single day, that it's impossible to really get the wrong result when you just keep trudging kind of one foot in front of the other, man. So pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I noticed that myself, that it was, you just have a home base now, since you have the office. And when we're sitting here discussing the designs we got back for the dump truck, and to already see, like, the salesperson and the team out there with their trucks and vehicles already as a team. But then you have these dump trucks coming in, and we're looking at other companies' designs and, like, what we like about those, and knowing that, a little bit of that jealous feeling that we get is now going to, when we look at these, pieces of equipment and the pride that they have in their company and what that means to a company to be able to have that kind of success and drive behind it. But to have that kind of coming together, it does feel rewarding. Um,
It is rewarding, and it's it's interesting because as small as we've been, and as kind of, I don't know that part time's the right word, but I mean, really just putting the foundational little building blocks together over the last couple years, and still being able to deliver the consumer experience that we've been able to deliver. And now uh, that we can really start doing that with the brand, we have, everything we've got now is getting branded and logoed and wrapped, and just our familiarity out in the community. Like people are starting, and people said this just a couple years ago when I just had the one Tahoe wrapped. Like people are like, I see you everywhere. But now we've got a Tahoe and a Denali, and my fiance's got her vehicle wrapped, and Tony's got a truck wrapped, and now we've got the two dump trucks going down the road. They're not done yet, but they do have a logo on it. We got a logo on the crew truck. Like we look like a legitimate steward of our community rolling around town now, and when we show up to jobs. So it's, if we were able to deliver an awesome consumer experience without all that before, I can only imagine what it feels like to the consumer now. And that's how you really start building a brand in your community. I mean, that's you watch over the next 1 to 3 years how this thing takes off, and a lot of that is just doing the things like we're doing that help create culture and camaraderie and togetherness. It was just missing the way that
Sure.
we were operating before, even as well as we were executing and showing up and showing out for our consumers. Like our capabilities to be able to do that now as a more unified group, and have meetings, and just communicate and be on the same page and talk about goals and vision and just all the things that come with being together at one site, one location, are really going to move the needle with those things exponentially, in my opinion. So that's why this was so important to me, man.
Sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think of everything, even uh, on Google, it's going to be your location is now off of a major road, which, it actually will have an office location address that's not your personal house.
House. Yeah.
And then, you're also on a major road, which you're going to have a sign out there with, as much visible branding as possible out there. So that's also part of it as well. And then, so these are all little things, including like the gas tank so basically, you're at the point now where you're able to afford to be able to save more money by investing in these tanks. And then there's more side benefit of that as well, not just having it on site to where you can fuel, but you also talk about those gas station trips. So I assume your crew vehicles will also be filled up there. If I'm
Yep.
correct, which means you won't have, those are the big ones, I'm sure. Like the dump trucks, I'm sure they have their stops that may be a little bit longer than others, but also those crew trucks, man. So like and then you're also pulling it away from the gas station, and that meeting spot is again back at that location that you're branding, and we're making the 10 things poster that requires zero talent, and yeah, that's wonderful. Uh, and I also wanted to mention here as kind of a segue, you had a visitor, Mark, this weekend came and visited you. I didn't know if, as you all were walking around the property and discussing some things or spending a day together paving, if there was anything kind of that you learned from him or that was particularly valuable about spending time with him. And feel free to continue on the new vibe and what it means to grow as well.
No, I mean it was great to have Mark and a couple members of his team from JB Lines uh, down earlier this week, and it was just uh, they're transitioning. They've had an operation for about a decade now that covered the entire country of Canada, and up to 40, 50 crew members spread out all across the country, and managing that, going from 6 or 7 kind of service lines, sweeping, striping, seal coating, uh, power. They did several things, and now they're trying to dial their operations into a more kind of centralized and localized region of the country, Western Canada. It was great for me to listen to them because their demographics and their are so much different than we have here. Everything's kind of spread out across, much bigger. They have to have a much bigger service area because it's just the population is just not as dense as it is here in the United States overall. So, they've got to operate in a several hour radius to make ends meet essentially, and they're really trying to go from being more of a pavement maintenance contractor, now kind of expanding the service lines into the paving arena as well. So they've been, just kind of the last half of the season, starting to perform some of their own paving jobs. And luckily they found a contractor up there that they've somewhat partnered with, that they have been able to get some valuable experience and training along the way. But they kind of wanted to come down and hang with us and watch us do it. They came down, I don't know, probably been 4 or 5 years ago now, when they were starting to get into kind of the pavement maintenance, patching, and repair side of the asphalt world. So they came down and checked out us doing some of that. And then that's when we were getting into the striping sector. So they came down, watched us, pave a little bit, patch, do some repair stuff, taught us a little bit on the stripers. I went up and spent some time with them July of 2023, just kind of repaying the favor, going back, just kind of watching the operations. We dug into the numbers, and that's really when the whole the movement they made, going from covering all of Canada, kind of condensing down, kind of were born in those conversations and that visit I had back in 2023, and now they're getting more into the paving side. So it was nice to obviously nice to visit with them, but it was Mark, who's the owner, CEO of JB Lines, and then Santi, who is his operations guy, and then his nephew Hiram, who's been with him for about 5 years and is running his paving operations. So they came down and spent a couple of days, got to watch us pave a couple 100-ton parking lot on Monday, just taking video and notes and asking questions. And I was really impressed with my guys, their willingness to help them out and show them things and answer questions and explain kind of why we were doing things, kind of just explaining the process and the why and the how and the when, the things that you don't understand when you're first getting into it. And I talk about this a lot, man. When I first got into this, if I didn't have the mentorship I had, and especially in my ex-wife's cousin, who had the very successful paving operation down in Atlanta, Georgia, I think I can't count how many times I went down there and would spend as many days as I could at a time, just watching those crews and asking questions and really starting to figure out the ins and out of this business, and how to do good work and how to become profitable, and what logistics meant, what production meant, what efficiencies meant. And it's great to be able to pay that back forward to somebody else who's, now he's got 10 years experience in this industry, but they're just now getting into the paving side of it. So I'm just fortunate that I have great mentorship and have been taught by some of the best in the country how to do this, and to be able to give that back to someone else who's got a willingness and an eagerness and a passion to learn. It's priceless, man. And I told him that, and they're going through it. Like they're in a stage where they're really scaling back. They're basically blowing up. Mark doesn't mind me sharing this, but they're blowing up their business model that they've had for a decade. And they say that is no longer who we're going to be. We're going to be bits and pieces of that, but this is who we're going to be going forward. And we had some very candid conversations, and I was like, and I said, and it was great, because I've literally just gone through this myself the last 2 years. Like, you talk about blowing it up and starting over from scratch. That's exactly what I did. And I was very candid with how scary that was, how, almost lost my house, didn't know how I was going to make it through the first winter or two. Like, it's going to suck. Like, shit's going to get uncomfortable. It's going to be scary. You're going to want, your wife's going to get scared. It's going to, it's a whole deal. But that's what business can look like, and entrepreneurship can look like, and risk can look like. And I said, you're doing the right things. Like, you taking the time and making the investment to bring yourself and a couple of your guys down, even if it's like they flew down from Canada, Western Canada, mind you, for just to be able to spend 2 days down here. I said, you're doing the right things. Like, you're making the investment. You're spending the time to figure this out and learn this. I said, you just got to have faith. I said, you've been in business 10 years. You know what you're doing. You've obviously got the grit. You've got the passion. You've got to give a damn, like one foot in front of the other, one day at a time. Do the things and have the faith that it's going to happen. So it was cool to be able to give back in that regard, and I think it was even more impactful because I'm if this would have happened 2 or 3 years ago, maybe I would have been so far removed from those early stages of my career that I couldn't have given him the message or taught or had conversations that we had if things wouldn't have blown up in my own personal life and business, and me having to start over from scratch myself. So
Sure.
you know kind of a blessing in disguise there that hopefully we were able to have the productive conversation that he needed and to really get this thing off the ground for him. So
Sure.
it was a great visit, and it was probably more mutually beneficial than even they realized. So it was cool.
Gotcha. Yeah, well, good luck to Mark. That's a heck of
Oh, they're gonna kill it.
that's a heck of a pursuit. But yeah, we've the profit margins, and especially if you're dealing with a large area that you have to travel in order to do maintenance work, I'm sure that can be tough. And with you talking about this, I'm gonna skip straight into AOS and talking about that a little bit. But you talk about that mentorship, and something that even AOS can offer and these conferences can offer is that when you go to visit someone else's paving operation, you get to see them work. They're not just lessons where you're getting taught implementations of things that you try to take back to your office. Usually, obviously you can learn some techniques as far as actual paving and you learn about the newest technologies, but when it comes to just being in the actual tar of the rocks and tar of the situation, learning how a hand tamp man does something around that type of a situation, or why you decided to line your pulls up this way in this particular situation, and then you spend another day. It just so happened to work out where you're in the office, and you can
Yeah,
talk about all the other things like. And maybe we can try to do this with AOS, where maybe at least some of our mentors can say, I am willing to, if they want to come pay their way to let, a company or two or three come visit my operations if they would like to do that, because it just seems, when you're there in person going through it, you have so many more questions when the information is just being presented to you in a hypothetical situation. So I'd really like to kind of take that challenge on and see if we can't pull that off within the next year.
yeah. I mean, there's no better way, in my opinion, because I've done a lot of both. Like I've done a lot of conferences, a lot of community peer groups and memberships, and they're great. I mean, there's nothing better than being part of a community in an industry where you can have peers that you can bounce ideas off and struggles and share successes, whether it be business or personal. I mean, in those friendships that are born there. But there's nothing like being able to witness it firsthand and really breathe it, smell it, touch it, feel it, experience it. There's no quicker way to understand it. And that this is something that I mean, this is why a couple of years back the TCS thing was exciting for me until it wasn't. The Pave America opportunity was very exciting because of this, and I have maybe AOS can become something like this in the future as it develops and grows and resources become more available, whether it be through Pave It Forward's business or AOS growing as a community. But being able to, and like this isn't my ego talking or anything like that. Like I'm not pretending that I'm the know all be all person that can come inject myself into your business or your field operations to make it the best it could possibly be. But I certainly think I can help. And I certainly think it would be cool if we were able to either through scholarships or resources be able to either bring people to our operation or like you said, operations of our mentors, or for myself or our mentors to be able to go into their operations and spend time with them and go for a week and inject what we've learned over 20 years, into their business. And it's, I don't know how many people I've done that with just casually over the last, 10, 15 years. You know, people that have either come here or I've gone there to do the exact same things, and the lessons and the value that come of those things, each and every time, man, have been super beneficial and rewarding.
Yeah, it's something that I think is the direction we're swaying with AOS. And to catch everyone up, our goal was a 3-year trial period of this AOS system, and then in year 3, gather all the feedback and really start to define a system that we are known for. And what we're learning is that these mentorship conversations are the most valuable aspect to you all, the participants. We gathered all the information from the questionnaires and everything last year, and we've decided to make some changes to the program. One is that this year it will be 6 weeks long instead of 8. We've got some feedback that a couple of the sessions could have been combined together. The second major difference that we're doing is we're taking a lot of your questions in advance. Now, we have a bank of questions from the participants from last year, but we're going to ask for all of the participants' questions going into the sessions before the sessions start, so we can organize those questions kind of by theme. Now, we have an overall arching theme for all of the 6 weeks, and this will be held mid-January through the end of February. We're still determining which week or two we may need to tweak things, so keep tuned for that. We will be sharing that information. But what we're really planning on doing this year is spending the first little bit of class having 4 mentors, 4 to maybe 5 mentors per week, conversate with each other around certain questions that you all asked. And this is because the most value was found, and the most value was found in response when the mentors from last year's program would start talking to each other and asking them questions that developed off of the questions that you all asked. This is going to be a bit of a more 201 level course. A lot of these companies will have already hit that $1 million mark and are maybe trying to go from 2 to 5 million, maybe 5 to 10. But all of the companies that will be present are kind of having that goal of landing somewhere in the revenue ranges of maybe between 5 and 20 million, or even more as a final goal. We really tried to include last year a lot of the basics. We thought a lot of the participants would find value in the 101 level type stuff. And what it turned out to be was that they wanted to hear the professionals talk, and if they wanted other resources, they just reached out to us. Of course, the mentors were fantastic at supplying some of their own resources, some of their PDFs that we passed on. And there were some other situations where participants would ask us if we have an example, and Kevin and I would go create one for them, or create a little Excel sheet that they could use on their own. So that's the way we've kind of decided to sway things this year, is try to get more mentors per session, fewer sessions, and really have deeper kind of fireside chats, and then address the question and answer afterwards. So, and wrapping that back into these visits, I think these conversations are some of the most valuable things you can get, that you can get in these lessons, beyond obviously having to go and actually do it in person and put it in practice. But I think these sessions are really going to cover a lot of those things that you approach throughout your year that are just overwhelming. Those questions that you found that you've asking yourself month after month, year after year, that can be addressed by these professionals. And that helps you kind of see that inline goal. Kevin, you talked about earlier how you didn't know exactly what it was going to look like getting there, but you've seen it before and you knew you just had to take the next step. So that's what we're all trying to do in the off season, is take these correct mental steps, have the right conversations to where we can execute and set things up for 2026 and start to improve our revenues, have better relationships with our clients, create better lives for all of our employees and people with us, and really kind of build from there. So Kev, I know you've mentioned there are several mentors from last year's course, and we're working on getting a few more. Is there anything about AOS this year that kind of excites you, or something that you're kind of interested in perhaps pursuing or pushing in the next year for AOS, pertaining to either your journey as it pertains to Pave It Forward and what you look to share, or just the program in general that maybe can be an improvement from last year?
Yeah, I think certainly. I mean, obviously having a year under our belt. I mean, just like anything you do in life, whether it be professionally or personally, it could be my kid getting better at baseball or basketball, and it's really just through more and more repetition and practice and trial and error and seeing what sticks, what doesn't, what worked, what and we were fortunate to get a lot of feedback from our program last year. And the thing that I'm most excited about with this whole AOS journey is that it's not that I'm getting to be a part of it alongside. Um, that I'm not 10, 15, 20 years into a business that's super established now. I have done that before, but it's just nice to be and it's very similar to when Mark was just here, just kind of being able to be in the same position he is with building a business and to being able to do it alongside of these folks, man. It just really puts me in the present with them, puts me in the moment, allows me to not just hear their pain, their frustration, their challenges, their successes. Um, I can feel them. I can relate to, and not, oh yeah, I can relate to that because I went through that 10 years ago. I can relate to that because I went through that 3 weeks ago or
Yeah.
yesterday or
Yeah.
today. So it's raw, it's real, it's genuine. The mentors we ask to be a part of this are people that are obviously we're validating and that we have known for quite a long time, and that we put the utmost amount of trust and respect, authenticity, all those things, they come with that. We're not bringing in folks here that are going to blow a bunch of smoke and feed you a bunch of voodoo and smoke and mirrors and a bunch of bullshit. We want people that have been there, done that, have actually proven track records and been through the hard times, the good times, and have found success on the other side of that. So and it's just a great time of year. I mean, 70-80% of this country and this industry, get at least a few weeks in the wintertime to kind of, shut down production at least and reset and plan. And if you're not already planning for 2026, I mean, it's almost Thanksgiving. That probably should have started about a month ago at least. But it's a good time
Oh, we
to really
have.
kind of hit the.
Don't you sell us short?
Yeah, yeah. We've been plugging at 2026 for a while now.
Yeah.
But it's just a great time to kind of reset and get into. There's some great communities out there in the industry. I mean, thank God. I mean, that's what keeps this industry um, moving forward and advancing, because it is an old school industry. There are a lot of owner operators and generational businesses even that are closing the doors, and the workforce is aging out. Um, but there is a consistent group of those in this 20 to 50-year-old age bracket that are kind of pioneering this next generation of this industry. And it's what a better time during the off season to kind of get together with whoever we can gather up for 6 weeks and kind of plug through it together, man. So it's I love it. That's a piece of this business and this industry that I really find myself gravitating towards. And it's this business, Pave It Forward, has got to get its ass underneath of it first before I'm able to do more and more of that stuff. But I mean, that's something I really look forward to being able to do into the future in whatever capacity that may be. That's kind of something that's always driven me, whether it's being the captain or leader of a sports team I was on, or whatever, coaching my kids, coaching whatever. So it's just something that kind of makes me tick, and I really love being able to be a part of it.
Yeah, it'll be neat. As far as you going through it, I know you can kind of be that middleman, because people that have had their companies for 15, 20 years, maybe they have a guy in their company that's going through that, but it has been 15 or 20 years that since they've gone through that. So you can kind of feel those pains and empathize a little bit more. But I think some of the most enlightening moments are when, as I said, the mentors are discussing with each other, and then one of them is so impressed by the other and how they do things. They keep asking them questions and compare and contrast. So it's not like you're just going to a class and getting like one person's point of view on here as a system, you're actually getting interaction on how these different things could possibly work. And so that's what it's been enlightening. That has been the most valuable thing, because you can feel it when you're in the sessions, that's where people
Yeah,
are getting the
100%.
value. So
Yeah.
stay tuned for that. We're very excited to be presenting mentors here in the near future. We will be doing intro prices that will be as cheap as they will get early December, and then they will gradually go up from there. So please check in. We plan on putting together a quality program, and to also kind of put it our goals out there, Kevin, as part of the transition into you growing into more being able to maybe facilitate some of these things with AOS, or do more of that, pursuing your goals that is more industry wide. In 2026, you're looking to definitely build a solid crew to where you can step away from the field a little bit more often and get involved. So this is about as involved of an organizing group for a themed course or session, group of sessions that you will find, and I'm really excited about it. And even to just kind of spin off that, we were talking before this about how we have an automated AI receptionist, and the fact that AI is entering the picture. And when you talk about some of these things, as far as like filling up your gas tanks and understanding new metrics and new goals, I was thinking the other day, like, what if miles per gallon was a goal for the dump truck drivers? You know what I mean? Because we can
It
start
absolutely is.
we can start to calculate that stuff, and start to automate all that in. So when you talk about this newer kind of generation that's coming in to do things differently, there's so many different aspects of that I think it almost gets more refreshing every year that we get to do something like this and get to talk to people about what they're up to.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. As much as I love data and analysis and being able to dive deep and understanding the why and how's the thing, that's interesting you brought that up, because Mark and I got into that quite a bit, and he's a data guy, and it's almost there's a very fine line of simplifying things for your sales team or your production crew, or the things that or the people that need to be using to be efficient with what they're doing day in and day out. And we got into the discussion of, when we, as the owners, as the operators, or the CFOs, the controllers, the financial people, whoever, within the organization, get too granular and try and push that granular stuff on sales or even production, sometimes like they really just get kind of in the weeds. It's like, how can we simplify the information they need to gather, and quick tools they can use to pump out an estimate or pump out averages or report, whatever the stuff they need, without having to get really far in the weeds with things. So, and that was one of the things we kind of found out that maybe was holding his sales team back from being a little more efficient and pricing things accordingly. And that's a biggie, man. Like, figuring out where your price points need to be in order to you obviously got to win jobs, so you got to be able to create some revenue to get the wheels greased and get the airplane off the ground. And man, it's if you're getting too granular with that, overthinking that, it's almost like you lose total control or perspective of where your pricing even needs to be. So we really talked about getting that simplified and dialed in and easy and smooth, to where these folks can just gather basic information, get out good proposals. This is where we kind of made the correlation. I don't know, maybe 10, 12 years ago, when we said, hey, if you're new to this industry and you come in as a part of our sales team, our sales staff, I mean, we made it mandatory right out of the gate as part of training to spend 2 weeks with the crew. Like, if there's a disconnect between sales and production in any regard, to where they don't know what they're selling or how long things take or what the process looks like, then they're just guessing. And then they're beating their heads against the wall, and the crew's showing up and they're going way over budget. And the salespeople are like, we're not making any commission because these jobs are losing. Like, it just, there's got to be involvement. And that's a good, kind of correlation to this AOS program as a whole too, is like, just you know, people got to know what's going on. They got to be intertwined with each other within their organizations to really understand the ebbs and flows of everything because it takes a lot of different pieces to make the music. So
Sure. Yeah, and then you can spin that off any way, but that all comes back to culture as well. Um, you know,
absolutely.
you gotta have the people, and you gotta have the system that people can, or systems that are good enough at least for people to believe in, and then you have to get the people to all buy into what you believe, and uh, that's the goal, man. That's when it really gets fun. So I couldn't be
Yeah,
more.
and that comes down to like people understanding the why. Like it's one thing to have like SOPs and processes, and standards and procedures, but like if they don't know why their piece of that SOP matters, then they don't give a shit. They just, and then you can't ever have culture. Like
Yeah,
everybody's got to understand the why behind the ask or the requirement. Why does this matter?
yeah,
And as the leader or as the manager or whoever's disseminating this information to the team has got to be able to cast that vision and be able to dribble that ball down the court far enough so they can paint the picture for them as to the why. So you can't have that disconnect either, because that only having good SOPs only lasts for so long if the people understand the why behind it.
sure. Yeah, yeah. That SOP is going to change, or that person is going to change, one or the other,
Yeah,
before things
that's
hold
right.
up. Um, yeah, we
You either change the people or you change the people.
yeah, because if you as the leader, as you said, knowing that why, and I was sitting here thinking like, I wonder, what the people, everyone in Pave It Forward would say the why is, and I just figured I'd go, give her a try here, and it's for me, it's to deliver the best consumer process, from beginning to end out of any asphalt paving company in the area and blow the customer away. Um, I don't know if that's right or what you were thinking. But for me, what that means, if you can instill that in your company, that means that no matter what part of the process you're in, from marketing to sales to the person with the hand tamp to the last person putting the sign in, is that the quality of product better be there, the experience better be there, and they better want to tell their friends and be astounded by what just happened in an industry that's typically a little dirty and hard to deal with.
Yeah,
So yeah, I just that's and to go into uh a job, a partnership, knowing that that is what is on the other side, and that is what everyone is striving for. You don't have to stand there as the leader and continually try to preach about it as much as it is. Hopefully, you've created somewhat of this culture to where everyone else can kind of join in with that with you. So, yeah, man, I'm pumped. I'm pumped.
yeah, yeah, and that why, to just expand on that even further, on the employee side, the team member side is that so that we can be a business that can last and be somewhere you can call home and build a career over the next. Why is the hand tamp important? So this company can be around in 25 years. So this company can continue to offer and provide the best working conditions this industry can offer, whether that be with equipment or pay or benefits or profit sharing or bonus structure or paid time off with your family, or the things that are important to you as a team
Or
member.
AC and a skid steer that works.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Like
Yeah.
that's why putting the caution tape up straight so people can see our phone number is important. So we can, as a company, be able to provide you with things that give you a better life on the back end. Like
Love it.
that's bridging that whole why gap, from the top down. And when people can start believing in that and start seeing the fruits of that labor in that kind of way, instead of it just being a job they show up to get a paycheck that pays pretty good, and man, but it's hard, but they're gonna come and go, and it's gonna be a revolving door. But when you could get someone to say, hey man, if I stick this out for 10, 15, 20 years, make this place home, these are all the things that this, opportunity can provide me and my family for my working days. So,
Hmm.
That's when you really start getting something special.
Yeah, that's I just got an idea of like a pros and cons list for people that, when you're going to hire people, how we are different, but also a list that we can look at and refer to, as guiding lights. Obviously, those 10 things that require zero talent are nice, but anyways, just thinking here. Um, Anywho, Kevin.
That's important. Core values are important. Our heart in the pavement's important. All those things. And we gotta live and die by those things too, man. That's that that level, and that's what I like that thing. That 10 things that require zero talent. Because when we start putting those things up, and people start reading that, um, the people that aren't doing those things know that eventually there's going to be no place to hide.
Yeah.
Because the people that are here for the right reasons are going to start calling that out or expecting that. And if they're expecting that, it also puts management and the ownership on the hook to enforce that and hold that accountable. Because the moment we start letting those 10 things that require zero talent start falling through the cracks, then we've completely lost trust and culture all in one fell swoop. I mean, it's over. So it really holds the whole company accountable to each other.
Okay, it may be almost Thanksgiving, but you're in mid-season form, my man.
I'm ready to, dude. I'm on a mission.
You are, man. Yeah, as I said earlier, I thought, maybe a lot of these decisions or some of these decisions, you'd be like, let's wait till that, we have a 4 to 8 weeks of downtime, and you've just been pedal to the metal. And I can't thank you enough. We have goals, and I appreciate that. But as far as how we might be able to help people here, it's been awesome to kind of redo this podcast format. Due to time constraints over the last few months, we've basically just had to record our meetings and then cut out sensitive information and then release it, which people have found really valuable, which is great. We're glad we can still provide that value. But even just having this kind of formatted discussion again and leading into AOS, I'm really excited to hop back in to this time of year, hear what other people are going through, tell them what we've learned and are going through, and see if we can all kind of tackle this 2026 goal, our 2026 goals together, man.
Yeah, that's exciting.
Well, anything you would like to leave the people with today, Kev, being that this is an episode? Any thoughts that have been on your mind?
And just finish strong. Don't take the next. If your season's already over, then don't take too much time off. Get right into planning for 2026, because spring will be here before you know it. If you got a few weeks left, stay focused, stay committed. I know you're tired, you're burnt out, you're ready to get into the layoff, probably to take a break. But these last few weeks of the season, and then the first few weeks of next season, can really make or break things going forward. They can really ramp up momentum, or they can be big time momentum killers. So just finish with some intention.
Nice. Yep. That spring, the revenue, the leftover from 2025 will go fairly quickly once you get to spring, and it is definitely nice to have a little extra in the bank, I'm sure. So go out there and get it. Look for AOS. We will be releasing details soon. Otherwise, Kevin, I appreciate your time, man. And everyone else, we'll catch you soon.